Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. I am Queen. If you're joining me for the first time, welcome. So in today's video, I will show you how to draft a perfect high waist palazzo trousers, and if it's something you're interested in, then keep watching. For this palazzo trouser, I'll be making use of this orange crepe fabric. Is a bit stretchy, not too stretchy, so you will need about 2 yards to 3 yards depending on your size. So we're going to start with our starting line. I went ahead to join this because the pattern paper was not long enough, so I'm going to put down my starting line, which is also going to serve as my waist line. It's just a straight line. So I'll be making use of 1.5 inch band. So if you're making use of 2 inches, just go ahead and place whatever you're using on this line here. From that point, I'll mark down my hip line. Then I'll repeat the same thing here. So to get your crotch line, just sit on the flat surface, place the tape where you want the trouser to begin, then place it on the surface of where you're seated. Or you decide to divide your round hip measurement, then add 1 inch. So with that, you can get your crotch depth. So after our hip line, the next line here is going to be our crotch depth. So I'll just go ahead and mark what my crotch depth is. I'll repeat the same thing over here. So the next measurement is our knee line. So make sure you place your 1.5 inch band away from that line, like you see me doing. Then I'll go ahead and mark the full length of my trouser. So whatever trouser you're going to, whatever length you're working with, just go ahead and put it down. Then I'm just going to go ahead and extend the line here. So I'll repeat the same thing here. To have a very beautiful palazzo trouser, you want your trouser to the length to get to at least the floor level. I don't know, it's for some reason it makes palazzo more flattering. So I'll go ahead and put 1.5 inch here for my folding allowance at the hem. So I'll just go ahead and connect them. So go ahead and label this. This is my waistline, hip line, crotch line, knee line, and my full length. Divide your round hip measurement by 4. But before that, I'm going to go ahead and mark about 1.5 inch inwards. I'm just going to do that all the way from the top to the full length of this. I just want to create an allowance for a guidance. I don't know if you get. So it's just going to be an allowance at that edge there. So if I want to add my sewing allowance, I'll have room there. So it's going to serve as a guide for me. All right, so go ahead and divide your round hip measurement by 4 and mark whatever you have. So when using your tape, divide your round hip by 2, then divide it again. So whatever you get, that is your round hip divided by 4. So I'll just place it here. I'll do that on the crotch line as well, and also on the waist line. So I'll just connect this with my ruler. I'll extend this line here, here, and also here. Then to get your crotch extension, there are 2 methods. Divide whatever you have on your hip line there by 4. Whatever you get, you put it on the crotch extension line, on the crotch line, to get your crotch extension. The second method is just divide your round thigh measurement by 2. Whatever you have, just place it there. So I'm going to show you just an experiment, so you see that with it you'll be right either way. So I just divided my round thigh measurement by 2. I placed it here. Then I'm going to use the other method just to prove to you that you're going to still get something that will still be able to fit your thigh if you divide your hip measurement here, what you have here, by 4. So I had about 2.6. So I placed it here. You can see that it's the same thing with what I had when I divided my half of my round lap or my round thigh, whichever one you know it as. So you can see it's the same thing. So I'll just go out from this angle here by 1 inch. Then I'm going to use my curve. Please, if you have any question, please, I would really appreciate if you leave your questions in the comment section. Okay, and if you have any video tutorial or whatever you want me to work on, just leave it in the comment section. So I'll go ahead and divide my round waist measurement by 4 and just place it here. So if you want to come in by ½ inch from the waist, connect it to the hip line, you can, but I'll just go straight and put my half of my or 1/4 of my round waist. Then I'll connect it to the hip line. Use your curve, please, to get this. So just going to touch the hip line here like this. So if you're making a wide leg palazzo, just measure exactly what you have on your crotch line there and place it at the hemline. But I'm not going to be doing that, so I'm just going to divide whatever I have on my crotch line by 2. I'll just divide it by 2. Then I'll mark whatever half of it all the way to the full length of my trousers. So this is really easy. If you follow these steps, you're going to come out with a very perfect palazzo trouser. So I'm just using my lines to connect this. The reason behind this is so that when you put in your measurement, like for your knee measurement, you're going to have even distribution of your measurement. That means you're going to have even, that is the same on both sides. All right, so I'll go ahead and divide my round knee measurement by 2. Then I will divide it again by 2 again. That means I'm dividing my round knee measurement by 4. So I'm going to place half of what I have here and half the other part. So I'll just mark it like this. I'll repeat the same thing on the full length. But if you want your hemline to be more narrow, just go ahead and reduce whatever you have on the knee for that part of your hem line. So I'll just connect this with my ruler like this. Then let me extend this line here. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and connect to the crotch line like this. And also I'll do the same thing here. Okay, so this is what I have. So I'll go ahead and come down from the waistline there by ½ inch. This is so that the front part of my trouser lays perfectly against my skin when I put it on. So that is it. So I'll go ahead and write my measurement. I like to do this so that it can help me remember what I actually used when drafting this. So this is very useful when you have a frequent client, and this will just make your work easy. Or if you just want to make clothes for yourself, this will make things easy for you. So I'll just go ahead and add ½ inch here. You can do this on your fabric when transferring your pattern to your fabric, but I'm just going ahead to do this so that you understand. So with this, when transferring my fabric, or transferring my pattern rather, on my fabric, I don't need to add extra sewing allowance. So you just need only about 0.5 inch for your allowance at the crotch line. So the sides here, I'm just going to go ahead and add 1 inch sewing allowance, and also on this part. So you can see the reason why I came in from the side of the paper, my pattern paper, by 1 inch. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and add 1 inch on both sides for my sewing allowance. I added 1/2 inch at the waist part of the trouser. So I'm just going to go ahead to separate this. To draft the back pattern, I have a fresh pattern paper here and I have my front pattern here as well. I have spaces at the sides, the top part, but we're going to maintain the same length of the trouser, the hemline, okay? So at this point, you can see I have my allowances here. So whatever we're going to do here, we have to consider this. So from here, if you're here to add your allowances at the crotch part, so from the center there, go in by 2 inches, then come up by 1.5 inch. You can do 1 inch. Then at this side here, I'm also going to come up by 2 inches. So you know we have our allowance here. So whatever you do here, know that it's also going to reflect on the back piece. So we still need about 1 inch for joining allowance for the back piece as well. So I'll just go ahead and place my 2 inches at this line here. This is my waistline. So I just marked it there so you will know. So I'm just going ahead and put my 2 inches. Now the 2 inches I'm putting here is just to replace the 2 inches I went in from this side. So I just went ahead to replace the 2 inches or at that point. So I'll just go ahead and mark 2 inches. So I'll just extend the line. So that's our waistline, all right? At the hip line, you can choose to come out by 2 inches, but I do not want my palazzo trouser to be big at the hip ridge. So I'm just going to come out by 1 inch, also on the hip line and the crotch line. So if you want to use 2 inches, you can make use of 2 inches. So I'll just connect my waist to my hip line and my crotch line. So I do not want my palazzo to be big. So you can choose to add maybe 1 inch all the way to the full length or 1/2 inch all the way to the full length. But for me, I'm not going to be doing that. So let's work on the crotch line for the back. So I'm going to add extra 2 inches on the back line. From that point there, I'm going to come down by 1/2 inch. I do this because it's going to create more balance for the front and the back crotch when joining them together. So I'm just going to blend this to that curve I have there. So I'm just going to place it like this. Just blend it in. Then I'm just going to connect my back crotch like this. Okay. Then I will extend this line here. This is the 1.5 inch we came up from the waist width. Then I'll just connect it. Okay. So I'll just connect it like this. All right. So now, like I said before, I'm just going to connect this in a way that I won't have my palazzo looking big. So I'll just connect to the knee line and maintain the same length from there down to the full length of the trouser. So just take note of what I'm doing. So from that hip line, I'm connecting it to the knee line. Then from the crotch here, I'm connecting it to the knee line like this. So I'm just going to maintain the same size here. You can see there's no allowance here because I want my palazzo to have this slim look, a palazzo that it's somehow fitted. Okay, hope you get. So I'm just going to repeat the same thing here. So for you, if you want to, you can just go ahead and add 1 inch all around if you want. So I'm going to go ahead to separate my front pattern from my back pattern. As you can see, this is a dartless trouser. If you want to add that to yours, make sure you make provision for that by adding your dart on your waistline. So I'm just going to go ahead to put down my allowances just for this tutorial purpose. I just wanted you to know that we still have our 1 inch here, okay, for our back pattern, for those who may not understand. So if you noticed, when we were drafting the back pattern, we sort of also used the allowance because the front pattern already had allowances attached to it. So for this part, I had to correct myself. I made a mistake here. So I'm just repeating what I did. So the allowance is supposed to be inside, not extra allowance. If you make extra allowance, then the palazzo is going to be a different shape from what we had when drafting. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be bigger and we do not want that. So I'm just marking my allowances just for this tutorial purpose. Okay, so for this, you can choose to just go directly on your fabric and do freehand drafting or cutting, but just so that I can reuse this, I'm just going to go ahead and do this, then go ahead to cut my back pattern. So this is what I have as my back pattern, and also this is what I have as my front pattern. So I'm just arranging the paper. So I'll show you how to cut this or transfer this on your fabric. I won't be adding any additional allowance because I've already done that on this pattern paper. For this palazzo trouser pattern, you can either use zipper fly or attach a zip at the side. But for those who want their zip to be at the back part of their trouser, I'm making this particular video here for you. So I just went ahead to get a piece of paper. I'll be attaching it at this center back. So I'm just going to place it directly under here. So I'll be making use of my gum to attach this to the pattern. So I'll just add a few drops here. This is just for those who want to attach zipper to the back. So you can choose to cut this directly before cutting your back pattern out. So I just decided to attach this part for those who want to. So after attaching it, so for your zipper, remember we removed 1.5 inch for our waistband. So you have to consider that. So I'll be placing 1.5 on that starting line I have there. That's our original waistline. So from that part, you will want to measure 10 inches here. So when you measure 10 inches, just go ahead and mark it there. So I'll just mark 10 inches here. Okay, so if you see where I'm placing my 10 inches is from the original crotch line for the back, not from the allowance. Okay, so from that line, this line here, this is our original crotch line. Okay, so from that line, I'm going to go out by 1 inch. The 1 inch, we're going to do that, put down the 1 inch all the way to that 10 inches that we marked there. So I'm going to go ahead to mark. Yes, so I'll stop here. This is where we'll stop. So I'll just go ahead and connect this like this. Make sure it's curved because your crotch is curved, not straight. So just connect it like this. So I'll show you how to cut this off. Okay, so this is what we have, and this is what your crotch should look like. Make sure it's up to 10 so that you can be able to pass your trouser through your hip for those who have bigger hips. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead to cut this off, and please take note of how I'm going to cut this off. This is still going to be there. We're going to leave that part, but just see what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to cut here like this. Cut it. So when I get to that 10 inch here that we stopped, I'm going to cut that part too. Pay close attention, just cut it like this. Then go ahead and cut that part. If you notice, I'm not cutting off the allowance at that crotch part. So I'm just going to cut off this part. So you see what we have here. You can see what we have at the back. You see? So by the time we stitch this part down, before fixing our zipper, we can stitch and stop at that 10-inch point. So when you stitch, you're able to fix your zipper. So I hope you understand. If you want more clarification, please leave a comment in the comment section. So I'll go ahead and transfer my pattern on my fabric. If you notice, there's no extra allowance. I'm just going to cut this. Just take note of how I'm cutting it. If you got value from this video, please like this video, leave a comment in the comment section, subscribe, share with your loved ones, and please click on the notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload new videos. So until next time, bye.